He's the architect.
Right, exactly.
I mean, we fit our roles.
I know, this is like the husband and wife. This is the husband and wife of door trim.
Who knew that personalities came out in trim? Hi, I'm Lindsay Joyce.
And I'm Tomek Gil.
And we're the husband-wife duo of 3F Living, an architecture and interior design firm here in the city. We help our clients from the initial design to move-in day, and we're taking you along our journey with our renovation. This week, we're talking about moldings and trim, so come along. So we're talking about moldings today. Base, trim, maybe cove, maybe not, and crown molding, all for us. These are all the samples that we ordered. I try to avoid ones that have this like very thick square edge on the top because it, to me, is like a dust collector. Yeah, like a dust collector. That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
So something that thins at the top, right?
Yeah,
like
and I like that
tapers
it like
up.
Exactly, like tapering up. I really like that. But sometimes when it goes too close here, there's not enough tolerance between the sheetrock and and the woodwork.
So we want like a quarter-inch
like a quarter
edge,
inch,
just enough to kind of like not to have an uneven edge when it meets the wall, but not thick enough so that it's a dust collector. So there's a few pieces here with like traditional OGs, maybe. Maybe we can mix them. Like I'm not really into that.
I mean, there's definitely a time and place to use this, which would be beautiful.
Right. This is, but to me, that's more of like a restoration kind of a.
Yeah. Or like a townhouse project or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look at these two because they're the most similar, I think. So this is interesting because it has a thicker kind of reveal, which is nice. And it still has the same kind of thickness here, but the thickness on this top, if you look at it, instead of it kind of rounding over, it's angled, which is like a different look and feel. So which one do you like? I think we should eliminate one. Okay.
Edge.
What about this one?
I like that.
It's thin.
Yeah.
It's modern, but it also gives a little bit of detail.
I like that. Just quickly looking at this stuff, this is probably one of my favorites.
I like this one.
I like that.
All right. Also, I should note that the reason why that it's thicker at the bottom and it goes thinner to the top, the reason why it's thicker here is that when they're laying the floors, they like to give a little bit of tolerance for the wood to expand and contract. And then also, with getting the sheetrock and everything over, this just allows it to have a little bit of tolerance to close in the gap, but also
and with soundproofing, a lot of the soundproofing systems require that you actually turn it up slightly, the wall, so that it kind of creates a monolithic barrier. So you need that thickness on the bottom to cover that. So maybe you can kind of help us understand what is the difference between moldings and trim.
So moldings are technically all of it, right? Like, right? So that's like a common misconception. So when you say moldings, it actually applies to crown molding, it applies to window trim work, and it applies to door trim, and it applies to base molding. So molding is just a general term for all of those spaces, but trim is really applied to only like window. So the frame that's the molding around the window is called trim, as well as around the door. So it's almost like areas that receive casement. Casement would be around doors and also around windows.
Do you want to move on to window casings now that we have?
Well, I think we should do door casings because that's what's going to be interacting with this.
I'm thinking door and window casings are the same, are they not?
I'm thinking they're a little different. Okay, so let's do the same thing that we did with the base. I think that's the only way to do this. You like this one. I like these guys. We're putting those over here. Here's the base that we kind of, too much.
Yeah,
okay,
that's fine.
Too much. That one, I'm not 100% opposed to.
I'm looking for like shadow lines and stuff. So this has like a really nice because the top of it protrudes a little bit. It casts a really nice line.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think that would be an interesting detail around the door. I think that, and I think that, and maybe this. So let's take it back, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about where are trim and moldings installed, and a little bit about like how to select the size of them. You know, because it seems like there's a wide range that you can choose from. We have some examples here that we.
Yeah, these are the ones that we selected for our place. So I think just like basing on what we did, I think is a good model.
Yeah.
A lot of times we would never go lower than 4 inches for a base. And then depending on the application and the location and all of that, it could go all the way up to like 8 inches or even 10 inches if you're using like, if you're in like a townhouse, like pre-war that has super high ceilings. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is depending on the height of the space and the style, the overall aesthetic. If you're doing a restoration project, you're not going to install a 4-inch base. We're kind of somewhere in between, although we have an Upper West Side apartment and it is built in like the early 1900s. It doesn't have a ton of moldings throughout the space, although the area does dictate that. And since our design style has transitional Art Deco and a slight little bit of glam, that's what we did. You know, we determined our molding based on our design style grids. It always goes back there, always goes back there. Let's just, I'm gonna put these guys together, okay, just so we can kind of look at them. Because you know, this is like way more my look and feel.
I like this a lot.
The space is thin, it's modern, it has details.
I like it, so I like this combination. Okay. I like this combination or I like this combination. You choose.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would say this combination, not this one. Okay.
So easy.
Okay. So now we're saying windows, base.
Base and doors.
But do we like this door? Mm-hmm. Or do we like, so let's call this door A or door B?
So I just want to point something out. So this is a lot more subtle. The lines, the shadow lines that are in this molding are thinner, smaller, and less protruding.
I can see that.
And this is busy just the same as that. And I think it's too matching.
Like it's
competing. So even though I like this trim better, I think this is a better fit.
Okay, so all right, I'll go with you on this. I'll go with you.
I think that's a better fit. Okay. I think that they complement each other better, and they're not matching each other. They're not competing, but they kind of key in well.
Okay, so we did a 5.5 base. The reason why we like this base is because it did have some details on it. We like the fact that it's thicker on the bottom, so it covers up the gap of the floor, which is needed for the tolerance of the floor to expand and contract between seasons. And then it kind of tapers up. We really like the fact that there's only a 1/4 inch here. Mm-hmm. So there's less to clean. So we did a 5.5 height. And this was, 3 3/4, I think?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And so this is our trim. And so we picked out this style. It's not identical, although you can do that. They literally have base and trim that are matching identically. We didn't want that. You know, we're designers and architects, and so we want just like a little bit more of a designed space.
And an individual choice. You know, we wanted to have, since we had such a wide array of choices, we wanted to have the freedom to kind of select exactly what we wanted.
And then, you know, you never want your base and your door trim to be the same thickness. So if this is 5.5, we would never want a 5.5 here. It would be too much, and it would kind of take away from the molding itself.
Yeah, it's important to us to have a clear kind of separation or a clear transition between one type of molding to the next. If it's all the same thickness, you know, they just all start blending into each other, and for us, that's not a very attractive look.
Right. And so for us, you know, we typically, if this is 5.5, we're going to go down to at least an inch less, at least an inch less.
Mm-hmm. Can you pick, like, how about the window header has flutes or something, and then straight all around, so that it's like one place where they are, and not at the entire surround. And if we are doing flutes, then I would prefer to miter it and not use coins in the corners.
So I would say that I would love this around the windows and mitered, and I will abort the idea of putting this around the door frames. And that way, it's just around our windows, it's a little bit of ribbing, and then on little moments in our kitchen, on the opposite window, there's like tiny little drawers that have a little bit of ribbing in it.
Okay. You don't like stuff like this? I think this is awesome. I think this would look great mitered, actually.
I already love it. I already got a little taste of it.
Yeah, I wanted to see this.
Really do that to any of the little things that you see.
Oh, yes, Tomek. Yes, Tomek.
Like that?
Say yes. Say yes to the trim. Yes
to the windows only.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
For us, we were keeping the same width, but doing something a little different. So this is what we're using around our window. And we like this because we do have little moments of like Art Deco that's more in the decor of the space, maybe more in the tiles, or you know, some homage through little details in the millwork, not everywhere, but we just wanted to really apply that.
And really embrace that pre-war kind of look. We selected something with some simple curves that really spoke Art Deco to us, and like Lindsay said, we're going to have other details in the apartment that can cross-reference with the moldings.
Yeah. So the thing about crowns is that, like, I like them. I feel like that you have to have very high ceilings, and we do have high ceilings, but the maintenance of them, because they always end up cracking. And
so just to be clear, I'm okay with no crown molding.
But I think you wanted to use something for the cove.
Correct. So that's why we have all these curves, because we wanted and
since
again,
we're doing curves in like all the rooms.
Okay, so I already see. So speaking of crown, I think we chose this profile because we were thinking that we could put this up at the ceiling in the cove and just kind of run this around. Now, the only issue that
I'm fine with that. I like that one. It's like a step. It's going to be applied to the ceiling, right? Like
this would be applied to the ceiling.
Flat, just on the ceiling.
But this doesn't achieve what I really wanted to do with the light. So if you were to shine a light on this, you're going to get right, because we're going to have an LED in a cove here, and then this would be living above that light.
Okay.
So then you have these very dramatic shadows that are going to get thrown.
Okay.
Versus that nice disappearing light that I always try to get, because I really like that softness. I think that if it just kind of like with some LEDs, you can kind of pick out the diodes and like where the hot spots are, and with like curving it, you're softening it up. So.
And one molding that we didn't talk about was crown molding. So we do crown moldings if there's very high ceilings. So I would say like 9 foot and above, we would do it. But one thing to note is that because most of the buildings are concrete, a lot of times you will get lines that break or crack over time. When it's on your base, and it does happen on the base, you don't notice it as much because it's on the floor. Right. But when it's on the ceiling, you notice it. You're going to look around the space and you're going to see it. Another reason why we don't typically use crown moldings, even in higher height ceilings, is because of the maintenance, but also because sometimes the ceiling is unlevel. So if you're dropping ceilings in certain places and you're putting crown and it's not level in other parts of it, you're going to notice it even more, because that trim is going to go like this. It's going to like angle downward.
Sure. So because same as the other one, we can like apply this right up to the ceiling.
Okay.
Our drop can be at 4 inches.
Okay.
the edges here are very thin. That's 1/4 inch on both sides. So we're not going to have a huge drop shadow at the end of this. And at the same time, we'll be able to soften that light in that corner.
All right, so cove, no crown molding.
No crown molding.
Just having this in the cove to help spill out the light of the cove.
Okay.
Right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes. And windows, base, door trim.
So that's our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed watching us talk about trim and moldings. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.